but he got furious and said he was on his vacation. I said that I was trying to have a vacation too. Or did they invite me to be an unpaid domestic servant? Hello everyone and welcome to BoredMaster. In today's video, we'll be exploring the Reddit page, Am I the B-hole? But before we begin, please remember to subscribe and join our growing community. Also give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's content. On to the video. This first post is titled, Am I the B-hole for throwing them out of a house that we own? Son and future in-laws decide to exclude his family from wedding. They thought son owned the house, not us. My wife and I bought a 4-bedroom house in Pennsylvania that my son lives in. Our son went to college in Pennsylvania and wanted to stay in the area, so we bought a house as a second home. We live in New Jersey and commute into Manhattan for work. We figured that he would have a place to live, and we could visit every so often and spend some quality time together. We pay the taxes and services and maintenance on the house. Our son pays for his groceries and the house utilities. All was going well for a few years. Our son meets a girl and they get serious. We met her and she seems nice enough. They announce their engagement and she moves into the house with our son. Now for the problem. The wedding. We hold a little get-to-know-you barbecue at the Pennsylvania house. My son and daughter are there, as are our son's fiancé and her parents and sisters. We all seem to be getting along well. My wife, daughter, and the fiancé go into the house along with her mother and sister and my son. A few minutes later, my wife and daughter come out and are really upset. They come over and tell me we're leaving and driving back to New Jersey. I try to find out what happened. Once we get back to New Jersey and they calmed down, they tell me that our son and his fiancé, along with her family, don't want us at the wedding. According to what I was told, we're not their kind of people. I was livid. I called my son and asked him what the heck this was about. He tells me that her family feel that we are not good enough and will embarrass them at a family wedding, and that we are all uninvited from the wedding. I let a week go by to calm myself down and drive back to the Pennsylvania house. The new future in-laws are in the house along with the fiancé. It appears that they all moved into the house. They ask me why I'm there. I tell them since we aren't invited to the wedding, I was coming over to talk to my son. They tell me to leave their house. I lost it and told them that they had 30 days to get out. Tell my son I'm selling the house and he could find somewhere else to live with all of you. I go to a retailer in town and list the house for sale. They call my son at work and tell him what I said. Apparently, they thought that he owned the house. He calls me and asks why I'm selling his house. I tell him I paid for it, along with the taxes on it, and it's mine. He was living there rent-free. But since he doesn't want us in his new life, he has to get out. I tell him the same as I told his future in-laws. They have 30 days to get out. Then I'll get a lawyer and get them evicted. Am I the B-hole for taking a hard stance on this? He is my son, but the in-laws seem to take over and we no longer count. OP, you're definitely not the B-hole on this one. That was totally uncalled for by the in-laws, and I see no reason why what you did was unjustified. This next post is titled, Am I the B-hole for blowing up at my husband for messing with my alarm and causing me to miss my exam? Hello! I, female 23, have been married to my husband, male 26, for a year. I'm in my last year of university and have been so busy for the last 2 weeks, with many projects and finals looming. My husband complains from seeing me studying and not doing activities together or hanging out with friends anymore. I've told him it's not gonna last forever, and that I need to focus because this is my last year and it's been the hardest. The day before the exam, he wanted me to go with him to a friend's birthday party. I refused because I was busy preparing for my exam. He pleaded with me, saying it's just 1 hour, and talked about how his friends will be upset if I'm not there. I said no and shut down any further discussions. He got upset and called me selfish and inconsiderate, but then dropped it. Before I went to bed, I set my alarm clock, like I always do since I'm a heavy sleeper, Plus, I stayed up late studying. The next morning, I woke up at 9 a.m. I literally freaked out and checked my alarm and found that it was set off to go at 9:30 a.m. I had no idea how this happened, till my husband told me he did this to repay me for refusing to take one hour to attend the party, so he took this hour from my time. I couldn't believe it. I absolutely blew up at him, just yelling and screaming at him left and right. He just stood there shocked from my reaction and my rage. I got dressed quickly and rushed to the university. They didn't let me into the exam hall. I got into a lot of hassle to get them to reschedule the exam, especially since I had no legit reason as to why I was late. It was awful, is all I can say. I went home and my husband and I stopped speaking to each other. He kept acting as if I hurt his feelings and traumatized him by yelling, and that I deserve what he did since he was frustrated with my continual refusal to attend all events for the past 2 weeks. I might be wrong for not considering it, but I think that my exams should be a priority, and his way of teaching me a lesson was not right. OP, I totally agree with you. Your husband was way out of line. I don't know what this getting back at you kind of garbage is, but that's stuff that kids do in elementary school, and he had no right to do that at all. He's got to understand what you're doing is for not only your own benefit, but for the benefit of you both and your future together. So yeah, way out of line on this one on his part, and you have nothing to blame yourself for. This next post is titled, Am I the B-hole? I went on vacation with my friend and her family, and they kicked me out. I got my own room and stayed. I'm in college, and my roommate from last year, Meg, whose family is really rich, said she could bring a friend on vacation. It was kinda awkward. I was her third choice, but her family vetoed the first two because they didn't want her bringing a boy or this other female friend of hers that they disliked. Her parents bought my plane ticket and booked the resort, which I was very grateful for, and I saved a lot of money up so I could make sure I buy my own food and activities when I'm there, and treat her family to a dinner as a thank you for the ticket. But when the trip started, it was just bad. It was her, me, her mother, her father, 2 of her father's friends, and her 3 brothers going. On the flight, they all got first class and got me an economy seat. But I didn't say anything because why argue about a free ticket? The first night, they went to a grocery. It turns out they wanted to cook at the resort kitchen for the whole trip. And by they wanted to cook, it actually turned out that they wanted me and Meg to cook. I wasn't warned about this, but it turns out Meg's family is so traditional that they see cooking as a woman's job, and her mom had just had hand surgery. So it was me and Meg cooking every meal for 6 men and her mom, and I can't cook well. I know a couple staple meals to feed myself, but since I rarely eat meat, I don't know how to cook it. I'm also okay at cooking for 1 or 2, but have no practice cooking for a group of 9. I screwed it up, undercooked chicken and overcooked some steak, and her dad was angry with me. I got short with him and told him that if he knew how to do better, he could pitch in instead of standing around criticizing. But he got furious and said he was on his vacation. I said that I was trying to have a vacation too. Or did they invite me to be an unpaid domestic servant? Meg's parents and Dad's friends got angry I said that and started yelling at me. The argument escalated. I sarcastically called myself the help. His dad snapped at me and told me to get out of their suite and go home. Didn't say about how he expected me to do that. I left and called the airline with my ticket and asked them if they could do anything to prevent anyone else from modifying or canceling my ticket. They let me set a passcode and no changes could be made to the flight without it. Then I went to the resort desk to ask about rooms, saying I was stranded unexpectedly. They actually did have some affordable rooms available because of a weekly discount. So I got housing and still had money left over for touristy stuff. I went sightseeing and relaxed on the beach for 3 days until Meg's parents ran into me. They were taking a sunset walk and did a double take seeing me on the beach. They said they thought I was going home, and I said I decided to stay. They were angry because they saw me staying and using the return flight as having deceived them into thinking I couldn't afford a vacation, and using them for flights when I could actually afford things. Am I the b-hole for staying on that vacation and using the flight home? OP, you're definitely not the b-hole in this one. They offered to pay for your flight to and back, and they were upset for when you decided to use their return ticket home. Yeah, I think you're totally justified in this one. They should have let you know up front about the cooking situation and everything else that they had planned, and honestly, those parents should have known better. I'm glad that you got to enjoy a little bit of vacation time. This last post is titled, "Am I the b-hole for leaving my in-laws' house with my daughter after she told me she was feeling uncomfortable? I, male 37, have been with my fiancée, female 37, for 2 years. We're getting married soon. I've only met her family a couple of times. My daughter Judy, female 16, has never met them till very recently when they hosted a dinner to celebrate 4th of July, and that's when they met her for the first time. Judy has a visible burn scar on her forehead. It was due to an accident she was in when she was 9. She used to be incredibly insecure about it, to the point where I was forced to homeschool her, and it was hard trying to deal with and navigate through this rough time. Now she's doing a lot better, though some comments can really cause her to become stressed out and anxious. My fiancé knows all that and respects it. Before we went to her parents' house, I asked her to tell them about Judy and her struggle, and to get to try and not say anything negative about it or possibly mention it. She said she would guarantee no one will say anything. We got to the event and they talked to Judy and she slowly warmed up to them. Everything was going well till it was dinner time. My future mother-in-law looked at Judy while she was eating and pointed at her scar, basically asking questions about it, which made Judy lose her appetite and start to get uncomfortable. I kept sending my fiancé and her mom signs to knock it off, but to no avail. Finally, future mother-in-law then brought up the wedding and asked my fiancé if it'd be possible to Photoshop the scar out of any wedding photos that will have Judy in them, just in case they distract viewers. I was dumbfounded. Fiancé said nothing, just stared casually while nodding. I looked at Judy and it was clear this got to her. I leaned closer and asked if she was feeling uncomfortable, and that we could leave if the answer was yes. She took her time, then nodded and said, "Yes, I'm feeling uncomfortable right now." I got up and told her to get ready because we were leaving. My fiancé, her mom, and the family started insisting we finish dinner and stay, but I refused. I took Judy and got in the car and left before even talking to my fiancé. Obviously, she was pissed. She called and was angry, talking about how I disrespected her parents by taking Judy and leaving in the middle of dinner and not even saying goodbye. I told her that Judy was feeling uncomfortable with future mother-in-law's comments and questions. She said Judy overreacted and is in need to go back to therapy if a simple mention of her scar caused her to react that way. I got tired of arguing and asked her to give us some time, but she went on me and said that I have no respect for her and her family, and that what I did was irrational, and now she won't speak to me till I clear things up with her family after ruining their celebratory dinner. OP, you're definitely not the b-hole in this story. You were doing exactly what you were supposed to do as that girl's father, looking out for her. Personally, I think you dodged a bullet with this one. This experience definitely revealed your fiancé's true stripes. And to be honest, if she's not going to come to your defense and also your daughter's, then I don't know if she's somebody that you want to continue dating. So I wish the best of luck to you, but I honestly think there's a better wife and mother out there for you and your daughter. Thanks again for listening. Again, remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. Also, be sure to click the notification bell to stay up to date on my upcoming videos. I'll see you in the next one.